everybody, Sally Rutledge out with Nonprofit Maintenance with Otzi. Take a moment and please subscribe to my channel and like my videos. I really, really appreciate it. I have a whole bunch of shorts that I've done too. And if somebody could explain to me why the hell every short ends up with a picture of my mouth open. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure this all out. Now, let's get back to Arizona Andy. I was able to interview let's see, the board secretary, she had a lot to say, and the board treasurer, and that will do it for the board officers. They wanted me to do the board officers. So that's what I've done. Meanwhile, I've already sent them their new bylaws and some other legal policies they didn't have, including conflict of interest, confidentiality, whistleblowers. Explain to them what Sarbanes-Oxley was about and the antitrust stuff when it comes to that. Also, the Johnson Amendment for nonprofits. It's still in effect, except for certain churches. Now, somebody needs to explain that to me too, because I don't know. Okay, now the board secretary, Arizona Andy. Um, it was a delightful conversation with her. She's a 46-year-old female who works in the marketing department at a local medical clinic. She's really busy, and it's a very busy local medical clinic. So that's cool. This is her first time on a nonprofit board. And until the last few months, she's really enjoyed her time volunteering. And she kept saying volunteering because that's true. She's a volunteer, right? You're a volunteer when you're sitting on a board of directors at a nonprofit level. There may be some that get paid up the line of the mega ones. I don't know. I don't work with them. I like to work with the small to medium, sometimes large, because it is just more of a challenge to me, and I have to have a challenge. She said she's been on the board for 3 years and she's wondered about term limits. Remember, I told you before, maybe you don't, that this organization doesn't have term limits in their bylaws. That's a huge mistake. We've made that correction. Um, I said, well, your current bylaws have no term limits. And she said she wants that changed, which I did. She said she could use some development with regards to taking the minutes and getting them right. She said she feels her minutes are way too long, which they are. 4 to 5 pages of minutes are way too long. Minutes are points of order, votes, follow-up discussions, but not 4 to 5 pages long. Really, two is already exceeding what I like. So no more than two. I mean, you can get your board done in two. So I sent her a minutes template because I have one that'll help her, and I did it right after we talked. I also sent her an agenda template to make that easier for her to organize as well. So she responded, "This is so easy. I can just print it off and, every meeting and just put in what I need to put in and the space is allotted and then retype them all." I said, "You don't even have to retype them because I put them in a Word doc for you. So all you need to do is take out the lines, fill in your information, make sure that they follow the agenda items, and you're good to go." So she was very happy. She does have some blame to throw around, which surprised me at first. But once she started to discuss what she meant, it became extremely clear to me, and it will you too. She said the board president just doesn't know how to stop the new woman once she starts her monthly screaming match with the other board members. Doesn't that sound like a fun, my shirt says Good Witch, by the way, um, a fun meeting to attend where there's boards, people screaming at each other, and the president of the board who wants to do good, but doesn't know how to stop it. I don't know. I should send her one of these. Stop. That's my favorite thing, by the way. I think you know that. I asked her um, what she does during the screaming. And she said, I sit there dumbfounded. She said it makes her feel really nervous and she's tired of it. And her quote to me was, 5 months of this shit is enough. Yeah, I like her. Right on the line, told me exactly how she felt. I don't have to question her about that. So thank you for being honest. I said, well, what do you think the board president should do when that crap all begins? She said anything. She feels the entire board is giving this new member way too much free reign while at a board meeting, that everyone there is volunteering their time. And she said you can actually see people's faces drooping when that board member starts. It makes her sad and angry at the same time. Well, I hear you. It would me too. No doubt about it. And I told her I would feel exactly the same way. I asked her to please not resign her position until I can get this board back on track. She said she would give it another 3 months. 3 months. She is a busy mom, wife, and professional, and attending monthly meetings can sometimes be tricky with her and her family's schedule, but this nonprofit means something to her. Damn it, people, a board member who wants to be there and wants to make a difference. This is the kind of board we all want, we all need, every nonprofit deserves, right? Quit mollycoddling the people that are the problem. It's enough. We got it's so we talked for about an hour and a half about everything. Motherhood, juggling work and life, nonprofits in general. She's well educated and she's full of excitement. She must be kept on that board. I like how I fell in love with her while we were talking because she's everything good about the nonprofit, her volunteerism, her spirit. It she's remarkable. We ended the conversation with an understanding that I will do my very best to make this board work better. She sent me a follow-up email too. And so we've started going back and forth. She had some questions about marketing because I have a degree in marketing. And so we talked about it. I said, remember, my degree is like 150 years old, but I still know customers and I know customer service. And so she had me review a few things um, for her, and I loved them. I didn't change a thing. She's very talented. I said, I can't. You're asking an old marketing girl um, when you have all the tools and devices and everything that you're doing. And she also said that they are not using AI in any of their marketing. She said there's not enough. What was the word she used? There's not enough control um, about that. And it worries the partners of this medical center that it could be used inappropriately. So they're not using AI. And I applauded her for that. I said, good, because, I work with lawyers and I've talked to several lawyers who don't like AI either. So, um, social media people probably have a different outlook on this, which is great, and you probably know how to do it. But there's a lot of nonprofits that are going, it's too much, and they're getting in trouble because they're using AI and it's changing people's appearances and it's changing the whole thing. And when they're posting it, people are saying, well, who are those people? And well, that's not me. And so it's starting to backfire. So just keep that in mind. Now, the last one I talked to was the board treasurer. 59-year-old male, works in the business office of a junior college. Extremely formal when we first started our conversation. He used big words and all. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a little bit of a struggle. So I asked him how long he'd been on the board. And he curtly replied, 2 years. Just like that, 2 years. I said, have you enjoyed those 2 years? He said, yes. It's a good group of people. I asked how long he will stay on the board, especially since there are no term limits. This is before the board voted the new bylaws. And nothing in the bylaws state that how long a board member can stay on that board. Come on, people, term limits. I mean, come on. We need it in every facet, all the way up to Congress, Senate, local. We need term limits. Good God. He said when he finishes this year as the treasurer, he wants to be done. I asked him why he wants to be done after this year. I was trying to get him to open up, and I was trying to pull information from him, and it worked. And he said, and I quote, "Can I be frank with you?" I said, "I expect you to be frank with me." He said he did not get on this board for fighting at every meeting like it has been the past few months. He let his guard down finally, and he filled me in. He says he gets hopeful before every meeting, and then it quickly falls apart. He said, there's times we can't even get the agenda items through. It just falls apart. And then the board president, adjourns the meeting. And he said, and we still haven't got stuff done. He said, and I don't have the right direction as treasurer. I know what to do, but I want to make sure the board gives me the right direction. And he said, I can't get that either. I said, well, why does it keep falling apart? He said, the new young board member who refuses to abide by any decorum at all and tries to bully other members of the board, including the president of the board. This is a 501c3 charitable organization, so it's president of the board. I said, okay. I asked him what could be done, in his opinion, to curtail the chaos. He said, remove that person from the board. That's all it's going to take to get the board back on track. Remove her. I said, well, there's nothing in your current bylaws that give the option of removal, but there will be in the new ones. And since then, they have approved the new ones. And hopefully, they have a meeting, I think next week. What's it? Oh, yeah, tomorrow, Friday's Halloween. Next week. So hopefully they can get that done. I said, have you ever had board nonprofit development before? He said, no. I said, are you open to board development? He said, absolutely yes. He thinks it's going to help everybody. And I said, so if that troublesome 32-year-old graphic designer whose mother controls her is removed, do you feel, in your opinion, that this organization can right itself quickly? He said, with board development. He said, it's almost like we need healing at this point. It's like we need some sort of therapeutic healing. And I said, well, sometimes you can get that during a good board development session. He said, well, will you be doing the board development? And I said, well, that's up to the board. I said, if the board wants to hire me to do that board development, then I would be more than happy to do that. I kind of know everything that's going on. I said, but there may be somebody local that in Arizona, in your region, your territory, that is also great at this. I said many times, you work at a college. Many times you've got nonprofit development people, or teachers, professors that can do a really good nonprofit development in person. I said I would be doing it via Zoom, but if you feel it's best to do it in person, then please locate that person. And he said, well, I'd rather have you do it. And I said, well, that's great. And I appreciate the vote, but that's really up to the board. I don't say I'm the only one that can do it, because I'm not the only one that can do it. There are really, really good facilitators all throughout the country. So if you don't want it done via Zoom, and I don't want you to pay me to fly me there and then put me up in a hotel and pay per diem. That it seems like a waste of your money when nonprofits are struggling. Um, then you're not going to hurt my fifis. So I thanked him for his time, and he thanked me for my time, and we ended the call. It tells me one thing. That young woman must be voted off this board as soon as humanly possible. And I'm hoping that's going to be next week. Now, I do have a call scheduled Monday with the president of the board, because their meeting is Wednesday of next week. She wants to go over what she can do, how she presents that. She said, well, we want to go into executive session. I said, well, you can't go into executive session. That's for land acquisition and personnel for nonprofits. So you need to do this in open board. However, I am going to tell her that she needs to have a board only session. And that means no advisory people, no, other staff, because they don't need to be involved with this. I said, in the new bylaws, you're going to see I put in there a section on special board meetings, which is kind of an emergency situation. And getting this woman off at this point, I consider to be an emergency, because she is killing not only the vibe of the board, the work of the board, she's killing everybody on the board. And they're still not going to hire her to change the logo, even though she's developed some. She's developed some and sent them to the board and say, choose which one you want, and I'll send you my invoice. I mean, she's like so bold about this, because that's her only thing. When you have one thing on your mind and you have one sole purpose, you're going to stick with that no matter what. You're going to stick with that. And she's too young to understand these people don't like her, that they don't respect her, that they don't want her there anymore, that they're not getting any work done. And Arizona Andy is just like, oy vey, I'm trying to run an organization at this point without board guidance. And he said, well, what can I do? I said, very little. Don't go make major purchases. Don't go make major changes until we get this developed. You don't want the board to think you can run it by yourself, and then all of a sudden they're looking at you and they start to micromanage you. There's such a fine line between micro and macro managing. It also tells me the board development training does need to be done, and it needs to be done for a few very urgent reasons. To teach the board what their roles and responsibilities are. And I think that's where a lot of nonprofits fall short, is that the board doesn't really understand what their roles and responsibilities are, both fiduciary, financially, and legally, because they're the ones that are responsible. Sarbanes-Oxley comes into play, the antitrust stuff comes into play. There's so many things that come into play. And none of them knew what I was talking about. It was like I was talking a foreign language, which happens if you don't have the proper development. Also, to begin to heal within the board structure itself. Because right now, nobody is happy with the other person. Nobody's happy with the president of the board, because that person is taking a I don't know what to do stance. So, in fact, not doing anything because they're not sure what to do or how to do it. And I really, really believe this type of issue will be identified quickly and action taken without delay. I really, 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 really feel that. And I don't say that very, very lightly. I really feel that this nonprofit can make great strides if we can just come back together and look for the positive in this. The 34-year-old new board member, who is the jewelry maker and exquisitely done, what an art that is. Nobody had a problem with her. They felt sorry for her because they felt that she was being bullied by the 32-year-old. And I said, it's probably what's happening. And this jewelry maker has a vested interest in this nonprofit because they've helped her in the past. So she's there for the right intentions. And I think she needs to stay there. I really, really believe that she can make a positive difference. I also believe that with the removal of this problem child, that the rest of the board will flourish. They've got great board officers. I didn't even talk to the rest of the board. I don't need to. And I told the president of the board that. I said, I've talked to your officers. They're all extremely intelligent people. They know what their role is supposed to be, but it's not really what's happening. But I think that can be changed very quickly. And I don't think we need to do a full audit of all the board members because I think I've got a good enough handle on this. I said, now, if you hire somebody else to do board development, I'm hoping they do a call interview with each one of the board because I do like to do that before a board development if there's an issue. Now, sometimes when I do it, I find out there are issues that nobody told me about. So I get that information when I'm doing that kind of audit review with each individual on the board. But I don't think I need to on this one. So I think Arizona Andy and their board is going to be back on track within 2 weeks. And I really believe that's important because I'll give you a little tip about this nonprofit. It's a food bank. It's a very big food bank. And with the benefits that are being cut to people right now throughout the country, this food bank is extremely important. And that's pretty much what every one of these board members had said, is that we don't have time for this. We need to keep raising funds. We need to keep helping the people because we know the need is growing. And then you've got the holidays coming on top of it, where it's going to be needed more. Makes me sick to my damn stomach. Food banks, food supply houses are already struggling because I work with several of them. And then to pull away people's benefits that really need it. And don't just say, oh, they need to go get a damn job. That's not all the people. It's not all the people. Quit looking at one side of the story. Quit looking with blinders because you are lucky enough to not need it. We can't do that anymore. So if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity or an opportunity to give as much as you can. I don't care if it's $1, it helps. Look at your local food banks because they're in a world of hurt. And I mean, there's food banks located inside churches. There's a wonderful one in Seneca, Illinois, the Seneca Food Pantry. Great people. I worked with them, and they're such caring people. Worked so hard, did everything the right way. Became their own nonprofit, got federally recognized, are going after any kind of grant that they can possibly do. Because Seneca, Illinois, they do a whole region. And I need to catch up with them and see how they're doing. They're just phenomenal people. Okay, I'll try to jump off my soapbox real fast here because this is affecting too many people. Texas Teddy. I love this guy. I love this guy. He wants to do good. The board wants to do good. There's 8 board members. And he keeps saying, nobody can make a damn decision, Sally. And I said, well, we need to give me some board development. And he goes, okay. I mean, it's just like they've been raising funds. They've done all their paperwork. Everything's legal. They had a lawyer in Texas help them. The lawyer did a fabulous job. I looked at everything. I said, there's nothing I need to change at all. He said he was a local attorney who's been working with nonprofits for years. And I said, you found the right one, because lawyers don't take nonprofit law in law school. So they don't really understand a lot of it. It's really not, but this lawyer was really good. And I said, so you've done everything right, Teddy. I said, you just really need some board development. That's all you need. So we're going to get that scheduled. And I did send him some minutes and agenda templates. I did send him a couple of legal policies that he didn't have in place, and reviewed everything that he does have in place. And I said, your bylaws are nonprofit bylaws. They've got all the who, what, why, when, how, where, all of that's in there. They're very good. They're not cut and paste. They're not corporate. They're perfect. I would just change the dissolution wording, but that's it. But that's not my document, and it's within this year, so you can't change it till next year. So you're welcome to talk to your lawyer about it. Have your lawyer call me. The dissolution wording needs to be changed a little bit. You need to actually say who's going to receive the funds, not just say to another nonprofit anymore, because states are taking that as unclaimed property if you don't list it. So let's list them. So that one I think can be handled very, very well. And I love this guy. He's got this thick Texas accent, which I absolutely adore. He's in his mid to late 50s, and they just want to do good. They just want to help people that need to be helped. They have a specific reason. They are in the human service nonprofit side of it, but they are charitable. And I say human, not side of it, because I work with a lot of pet shelters and pet facilities, no-kill pet facilities, that kind of stuff, adoption pet centers. For the love of God, people, adopt. Okay, quit going to puppy mills and don't do that, please. There's so many animals that need a good, loving home. So this can be done quickly. So I'm really excited about Teddy. This one's fun for me because I don't have to change anything. I just need to tell him what to do and how to do it. And so he's delightful. We've had a lot of good conversations already, because he's one of those guys. So should we do it? Do you think we should? I said, well, Teddy, I think you should do it, but you got to get your board to say you need to do it. Oh, they want to do it. I said, well, I think you need to vote on this. I would prefer a vote, and I would prefer the minutes where my name is in there that you voted on to approve it. Because then it's clean, and then my lawyers will be, oh yeah, happy, I'm happy, okay. So, because I have a lawyer and an accountant and all those people too, so that I run my business appropriately. So I'm not out here just winging it. I wing it sometimes though. I do have some good wingings that I do, but with nonprofit stuff, I'm not winging. So this is all going to be good. I hope the next time that I talk with you about Arizona Andy and Texas Teddy, that we've got those under control and are moving forward. And again, my plea to you, because I consider this a volunteer revolution time, is to take a moment to do that. You don't have to get on a board if you don't want to, because good Lord, not everybody needs to be on a board. Take the time to volunteer. Write a check if you can do that. Um, Spend some time. Go to a food bank, go to a food shelter. You will be touched beyond your belief. Donate clothing to the I not the big boxes, okay? Donate clothing to the local churches that have clothing giveaways and that sort of thing. I mean, there's a lot of different places that do that. Donate food to your local food pantries. Ask them what they need first. They may not need 2 cases of green beans. They may need 2 packages of diapers, because diapers aren't cheap. Or 2 cases of some sort of formula for babies. Um, that's the kind of stuff that I think we need to do right now. I know that we give as much as we can to our local charitable organizations because it means something to us. When you're fortunate enough to have enough, please help those that don't. Until next time, do good deeds. You will be rewarded. I promise.